Hey, welcome to video number 4 of our Rider Revolution video series. So in the first video I talked a little bit about typical seed errors, made a list of very common seed mistakes, seed problems that people have, typically that I had, I think I had all of them at one point. Then in video number 2 I talked about lunge lessons for developing the seed, and if they are really the best way to go to develop your seed. Video number 3 I talked about corrections, seed corrections that you hear from time to time that actually make things worse, not better. And and today I want to talk a little bit about what you do if you don't have a teacher available, because if you want to keep learning and progressing and you don't have good instruction available, you have to find alternative ways to keep improving. You have to get creative and take charge, so to speak, of your own learning. And there are things you can do. You can on the ground, for example, do yoga and Feldenkrais lessons to improve flexibility and body awareness and coordination. You can use visualization, mental images, to get a clearer idea of how you want to sit and what you can do to overcome seat problems. And you can use the feedback of the horse. I mean, I had to do that at certain periods of time in my riding journey where my teachers were in Germany, I was in the US, and I always had a really hard time opening up to new teachers and trusting new teachers. So I was on my own for a number of years, and then thought, well, if I want to keep learning, but I don't have anybody who I want to take lessons from at the moment, and I have to figure out ways in which maybe I can use the horse as a teacher and use the horse's feedback to improve myself. So I started really observing closely how I was sitting, how the horse was responding, if something went wrong. I figured out that essentially, if the same mistake keeps happening in the same place of the arena and or in the same context of a certain exercise, whatever, and then I tried to observe what I was doing that might offend the horse, or that might be misunderstandable for the horse, and started to draw correlations between my seat and the horse's balance or the horse's way of moving, and then was able to figure out what I needed to change. But it was difficult in a way because I had no instruction. Nobody taught me how to do that. I had to develop those learning strategies on my own, and but I was able to then see connections between my seat and what the horse was doing. I was able to eliminate the seat mistakes that way gradually. It took a long time. Sometimes I had to make the same mistake 20 times or 50 or 100 times before I could actually see what was going on. Initially it was always like, why is the horse doing this? I didn't do anything. And then gradually I realized, well, there was something that changed in my seat. There was sort of a question I asked myself, what happened in my seat one stride before it or during the mistake, or then if I couldn't see anything, what happened the stride before, 2 strides before, 3 strides before. And then looking closely enough, I would always see something that, okay, this changed in my seat, and obviously the horse didn't like that, so let me try not to do this next time I ride, so, and that helped a great deal. And I also started experimenting then. Initially, of course, I was sort of brought up the traditional way with, this is what you always do. You always have your weight on the inside seat bone. You always have your inside hip forward. You always have your outside shoulder forward. This very traditional seat instruction. And often it didn't work well. So I then started to experiment with it and said, well, what if, for whatever reason, this is not the right thing to do with this horse right now? What if I do something different? I mean, it can't get any worse than it is, so I'll try something else. And then by trying, alternatives, comparing, contrasting, I learned a lot about the correlation between the seat and the horse's balance and turning and sidestepping and all kinds of things. And so I ended up being able to improve my riding and my seat with essentially the help of the horse, when I didn't have a good teacher around. Riding in front of the mirror helped, of course, too, but not every barn has a good mirror that's large enough where you can see something. But so these were several things that I tried that worked well for me that you can try. And so in our next video, I will have a conversation with Catherine McCrum, our Feldenkrais teacher, where we talk more about the use of Feldenkrais and visualizations in particular, because there is scientific evidence, there's research that shows that visualizations actually do help a great deal. So hopefully we'll see you in our next video.